It feels like most of the Zerg vs Protoss games that I've posted to the YouTube channel recently are all long, drawn-out macro games. Today, it's time for a much faster best of 3 series that I've heard a lot about, but I haven't seen myself just yet. So spawning here in the top right-hand corner in game number 1 of this best of 3 series, playing with the Red Zerg drones. From Germany, but currently residing all the way over in Canada, we have none other than TLO. His opponent in the opposite corner with the blue Protoss probes, clearly the favorite in this best of 3. We're looking at none other than Neeb's main Nexus. Alrighty, I think everyone knows by now that Neeb is extremely good at playing StarCraft, right? I mean, if that comes as a surprise to you, you're probably new to the game. The man has been dominating the North American region for a very, very long time. Now, TLO on the other end, I mean, he's always been very good. TLO has been around since, I think, like 2010, ever since like the beta of StarCraft 2, if I were to make a guess. But he actually recently announced that he took up a full-time job at Shopify. So he's no longer with Team Liquid. He is now actually, you know, he's got a regular job. He's got a regular, well, I believe he actually does esports at Shopify. But anyways, I don't really know exactly how that qualifies, or if that qualifies as a quote-unquote regular job, but it doesn't really matter. Point being is that TLO, while always playing fantastic StarCraft 2, doesn't play this game full-time anymore. Now, this was played during DreamHack Winter North America. And, you know, that's after TLO announced that he was going to be going full-time into, you know, another direction. So, I have no idea what to expect from these games. I'm just excited to figure out what happens. In case you're unfamiliar, TLO has always been a guy who's been playing his own style, right? So, when it comes to top-level StarCraft, you probably are familiar with, for example, Zerg players like Serral and Raynor and Dark and all those guys. They play pretty similar to each other, right? And it feels to me that TLO has always been sort of taking his own path, and he's choosing his own adventure, especially in the early days of StarCraft 2. He was known as the creative Zerg. They called him Dr. Dario because he was always tinkering with different build orders and all that. So we'll see what he decides to go for right here in this particular match. I've got a feeling, though, I mean, I know that this is a quick series, right? But I've got a feeling if this were to be a long series, Neeb would just be unstoppable in the late game. Like, Neeb is looking so incredibly good right now in the late game. I don't really see a whole lot of people being able to stop this man at this point in time. So he's going to be going for that Stargate opener. These days, of course, the Void Ray start, very, very popular. It's one of the reasons, though, why we don't really see a whole lot of Roach aggression anymore in this matchup. For a while there, we saw a little bit of Roach shenanigans every once in a while. I mean, it wasn't super common, I guess, to begin with, but yeah, we saw it every once in a while. It seems like those Void Ray openers right now coincidentally also stop those pushes really from happening, so I would not be surprised at all if Neeb decides to take the approach to go for that very, very quick, well, second gateway apparently as well, but the links get in. But go for that very quick Void Ray just because it's a super helpful unit. Not only to harass, but to be able to climb into the mid-game quite comfortably. And then also, of course, he's not starting it up yet. Oh, he's not starting it. That's so annoying. So the Zerglings get in and he purposefully delayed that Void Ray there. Could have been an Oracle, could have been a Phoenix, could have been a Void Ray. He purposely delayed it though, while the Zerglings were inside of the main base. That's just Neeb being a little bit of a cheeky guy. Now, honestly though, when you think about it, if you're going to be delaying it, it pretty much always has to be either a Phoenix or a Void Ray, right? Because if you're going to go Oracle, you got to get that guy out as fast as possible, just so you can get there before the double queens are out. So, yeah, I think you can safely delay your Spore Crawlers here if you're a Zerg player in this kind of scenario, which is really what TLO is scouting for at this point in the game. Alrighty, so let's see where this is going to go. So far, things are looking pretty normal, though, right? A couple extra queens coming up. We see a bunch of drones here as well. It's going to be a Void Ray into an Oracle. Relatively uncommon, actually. I like this a lot. I think this is one of the better builds to go for. So if you're a Protoss player out there, highly recommend giving something like this a try. Most of the people that I play on the ladder right now are going Void Ray into 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 Void Ray and then eventually Carriers, right? And it seems that very few people, because of that, actually are building their Spore Crawlers right now. So the Spore Crawlers are coming up here. TLO, of course, planting those down at the correct timing because he's still really good at the game. Well, he made one in the main, he made one in the natural. The one in the natural a little bit later. Now, good control there. It's not going to end up losing a whole lot. One at the third base is done as well. Okay, one drone here in total. But anyways, what I'm trying to say is sometimes you might be able to grab yourself a couple of those worker kills relatively easily as Zerg players are starting to cut corners against those Void Rays openers as well. Okay, so that's a Baneling nest. Normally, against this sort of thing, you would see, well, either a Roach Warren or no tech structure. So you would go straight into Hydras or, for example, Mutas or Spire, rather, when you arrive at Lair Tech. Okay, so he's going both Banelings and a Roach Warren. Huh. Okay. Maybe this is just something that TLO feels really confident about. Tech structures, obviously, for Zerg are relatively cheap. I mean, you make them once and then they're useful for the rest of the game, right? You don't really have to worry about it too much. There's going to be a third base, of course, that just finished up here as well for Neeb. Got himself that shield battery. He's become very, very good at building those walls very efficiently. So I don't really see a Zerg player being able to get a whole lot done there with a handful of Zerglings. There's the Overlord speed upgrade as well. I'm curious to see here what TLO decides to go for, right? Because usually in these kind of scenarios, it feels like the games can go the distance. What kind of timing attack are we going to be seeing here off of the Zerg player? Because I don't think you can really let the Protoss just simply macro up. So it's 4 gases right now, 5 gases. Overlord speed is coming up and Roach speed is coming up. Protoss in the meantime, by the way, not adding on the additional Stargates, instead going into the additional Gateway production right now. Charge is going to finish up here. Robo Facility will be able to pump out some Immortals here very soon as well. There's a couple of Dropper Lords now coming up. Is that why you got Overlord speed? Is he going to bring Banelings or Queens? I think he's going to bring the Queens, actually. That makes a lot of sense. How many Queens are there? There's 5 Queens in total, which is the conventional amount. Not everyone would go for this kind of shenanigans. That's kind of awesome. Okay, so this is something that's pretty uncommon. We don't really see this, but there we go. I think we have like a Roach Queen timing attack. Normally this is done off of a Nidus Worm, but this is, I guess, a bit of a cheaper performance. I don't know how this is going to play out now. Protoss technically should be in a pretty good spot, right? Unless he decides to take the fight out here. I think if he decides to take the fight out here, that's a big mistake. He should be taking the safety of one of his bases for sure. He doesn't realize, though, what's inside of these Overlords. There's Brenda and the Knitting Crew. There we go. Putting down a couple of Creep Tumors. Now, obviously, since Lair is done and Overlord speed is done, you can spread those Overlords around as well to get a little bit more creep here. Technically speaking, you could go for some fancy pickup micro as well on these Overlords. Might be a little bit too much, though. Already, that cybernetic score is going to end up going down, but I think that's fine for Neeb because he wants to make a bunch of Zealots at this kind of point anyway. Oh! Ooh, Void Raiders barely backs up right there to the safety of that, what's it called? Shield battery. A lot more units are rallying in right now. Did he add on additional Queens? I actually don't think he did, right? No, there's only 5 in total here, so it's just going to be Roaches right now as a reinforcement. That's okay, though. He's still got a bunch of gas coming up as well, obviously. So he can always morph those Roaches into Ravagers. And would you look at that? A Queen Roach Ravager with an Overlord drop timing attack while spreading creep on the opponent's site. This is a TLO game in 2020 to a T, man. Huh, this is really cool. I like the idea of this a lot. Still, though, I mean, Protoss... the Prism... why was it all the way over there? I think he wanted to go for some counterattack aggression or something. It's just... okay. A little bit sloppy right there by the Protoss player. I think if he would have used that right here for juggling, that would have been quite a bit better, but... still, there's a lot of shield batteries over here. Now, the natural front, though, has been broken, right? And that does mean that TLO can continue this harassment right now over in the natural. Look at the Overlords moving forward as well. I don't think that's an accident. Nope, look at that. They're spreading creep inside of the natural, so those Queens and Roaches can maneuver around a little bit easier. Right now, though, yeah, Neeb does not have the help of those shield batteries anymore, and he's forced to tap out. There it is. GG is called. Alrighty, so map number 2 in his best of 3 series will be a Lightshade. Currently a 1-0 advantage right here for TLO, which I think is a... Alrighty, so map number 2 in his best of 3 series is a Lightshade LE. I like that timing attack. I like the idea a lot. Still seemed like something Neeb could have defended, though, if he, you know, wouldn't have messed up a little, right? Like, it was pretty obvious there that that Prism just fell for no apparent reason. But obviously, TLO did not do that harassment absolutely perfectly either, so I do love the idea of, at the very least, attempting something along those lines myself as well. I'm just trying to think, right? If this would have been a follow-up by the Protoss player with triple Stargate instead, would 5 Queens be enough to You know what I mean? Like, would 5 queens be enough to deal with, like, 4 or 5 void rays at that point in the game? Maybe with some corrosive bowels ready for zoning as well. No, actually, hold that thought. It's a Forge as a follow-up right now from Neeb. So Neeb is gonna go for a Canon rush here? Pretty sure he is. Okay, so that probe gets spotted, but I mean, that doesn't really matter too much. Ovi is gonna go towards the natural, though. I don't like Canon rushes at a pro level, man. Maybe there's some locational light shade that I don't know about, so there's the first pylon going up, second pylon going up as well. But you need like 4 pylons to wall yourself in these days. Okay. There it is. Okay, so he gets the wall in at the very least, but that is already 400 minerals down the drain, which is more than this hatchery costs, right? So he ends up canceling one. I like the idea of that quite a bit. Probably needs to cancel one of those pylons over here as well. Oh, he's making another wall. Ooh, that's kind of cheeky. Couple of drones, though, sneak in from the other side. Nice movement right there by Neeb, I guess. But, I mean, there's still, like, a lot of drones right now surrounding this photon cannon. That's the most important thing, right? If you manage to attack it with, like, 4 drones, it will eventually end up going down. Because, excuse me, these are all pylons right now. And with this, I mean, there's one photon cannon and that little nuke. Maybe that one's gonna go up. Oh, my God. That's really nasty, by the way. I'm pretty sure TLO had that defended, but then another photon cannon came up from the side. Obviously, there's a lot of lost mining time here as well for the Zerg. He's gonna go for some links, though, at this point, right? I mean, the spawning pool takes a while to finish, but it will finish here eventually. Okay. So that photon cannon is gonna finish up, but look at that full wraparound there. Beautiful moves right here by the German Zerg. And, well, the probe apparently gets recalled. At the very least, Neeb cares for his people. But that is now 4 pylons awkwardly on the other side of the map. He really needs to get this wall done. No, Neeb, no. What? Really? Okay. I feel like he... okay, he really wants to wall with a cybercore. Yeah, it's fine. Actually, I think it's fine. I mean, there's a hole over there, though. There's a hole. Hello. Hello. Oh my God, did he think that was a full wall off? Neeb has looked a little bit off in this series. Are you trying to say that pro gamers are humans too? No. No, that's ridiculous. Well, innovation at the very least not, right? That's clearly an AI. Anyways, I mean, all things considered though, right now, if you look at the worker counts, right, which is kind of like the most important stat. This harassment is not done yet though. Yeah. I mean, the worker count is looking pretty good is what I was trying to say, but since the Lynx just walked into that natural. Nice micro here, though, by the Protoss. Loses a couple of probes at this point. If that pylon falls, by the way, that's pretty much game over. This right now is starting to be... Oh my God, there it is. Yeah, this right now is an absolute disaster for the Protoss player. I mean, he got his Nexus up. Queen, in the meantime, is building or dealing with a couple of those buildings in the natural. He could even go after this pylon over here as well and probably be fine. But I think at this point, TLO is like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to try and get maximum damage on the probes. Yeah. I mean, that's still only 5 workers. Pretty sure most Protoss players at this point would have lost like 10. Okay, well, maybe he's going to get 10. Nah, probably won't. 7 workers is pretty respectable there. But if you look at this from, yeah, the big picture over here, you can see that Protoss has lost a lot more, and he's just about to lose a couple more minerals right over here inside of the natural of the Zerg. Stargate is a follow-up once again. So how is TLO going to go from here, though? He's got a Roach Warren coming up. He's going for a lair while simultaneously grabbing that 3rd base. Do you go Overlord speed again then and just bring the Queens on a little fly across the map? I don't mind the idea. Link speed is obviously pretty late as well in this kind of scenario, but I think it should finish up right around the same time as these Adept arrive. So, yeah, it should be okay. Okay. Now Chrono Boost, obviously. Oh my God, wait, what? Oh no! Oh, Neeb! I heard a bunch of people recommending this series to me, but you can see this is a bit of a sloppy one. As the pylons fall in the natural of the Zerg, Protoss actually hit a supply block. Ugh. I don't think that Neeb had his morning coffee just yet, man. Okay, there's the Nidus Worm right now, this time around. From the German. It's an efficient build, what can I say? Well, that's a nice scout as well by Neeb. He sees the fact that an Overseer is morphing in. Where are you gonna Nidus? There's not even a shield battery at the front. Well, there it is. If you're gonna go for a Nidus Worm, you can plant it anywhere, right? So now it's gonna be double Stargate. There's still, by the way, drones coming up as well, so... Oh, he actually decided to cancel it. Wow. Ooh, that is a big brain move right there by TLO. Okay. So I didn't expect he was actually gonna cancel that. I don't think it was spotted, right? No, it wasn't even spotted, but he knew that his opponent knew that, you know, it was gonna be some Nidus shenanigans. I mean, the ring of pylons around the main base is already a pretty clever one. Because that way you can deal with a Nidus Worm quite easily. So usually what ends up happening is that you need the Nidus to front, but it's, yeah, it's tricky. It's very tricky. So once again, we have Overlord speed coming up. There's a Hydra Den as well. +1 missile upgrade. In the meantime, by the way, Neeb is just getting himself nicely turtled up inside of the natural expansion. He hasn't quite spotted the third base yet. Maybe that's one of the reasons why. I mean, he probably makes the assumption at this point that it is out. Protoss is very limited when it comes to scouting in this kind of scenario, especially when you're forced into Void Rays. I mean, Void Rays are pretty quick these days, but there are no Oracles or Phoenixes, right? Like, they're not going to be as reliable here for scouting. Obviously, the Adepts were out, but they cut out when Link Speed basically finished up. A couple of Roaches try to make their way across. There's an Oracle here, but that one apparently will be used for the defense. So the Pulsar Beam energy it's not going to be used right there on a couple of those workers on the other side. Third base obviously got cancelled. Oh. Juking and jiving right there. But yeah, the Void Ray right now confirms exactly what's going on. And, I mean, it seems like we're transitioning towards a decent enough macro game. Okay. Now, this is full 3-base saturation right now for the Zerg player, right? I mean, he's missing 2 drones over in the natural, but it's for all intents and purposes, well, there they are. This is for all intents and purposes now a really beautiful timing attack that's being lined up here for TLO. 3-base saturation and no 4th base on the way. He's gonna finish up the Hydra upgrades together with the +1/+1 upgrades right around the same time. And this is the classical Zerg timing attack, right? Either like the Roach speed upgrade finishes up together with the +1 missile or something along these lines, where you can line up a couple of these upgrades around the same time and make sure that you can hit right when they all finish. Usually that's one of the best moments to go for an attack. Protoss already going into the +1 flyer weapons here as well. That one's going to finish pretty shortly here as well. So TLO at this point realizes what he's going up against, and it's Void Rays. Great scouting here. Hive's going to finish up here very shortly too. Couple Infestors. Infestors? Is he... Is it Microbial Shroud? I want it to be Microbial Shroud so bad. Actually, Cyril mentioned that he thinks Microbial Shroud is really good if the opponent doesn't have Storm yet. So Storm is not going to be out for another little while. You can see right there that the Templar Archives is about halfway done. Well, a little more than halfway done at this point. But there we go. Hydras, though, without their speed upgrade, pretty slow. That one's going to finish right now. +1/+1 finished up as well. TLO is just making tons of units right now. He's ready to go in for the fight. Where are those Infestors? There they are. So Microbial Shroud, officially dubbed the worst upgrade in the game, or the worst ability in the game. Still might be kind of helpful over here, though. It does take quite a bit of energy, but there's already way too much Zerg over at the third base of the Protoss player. And just like that, TLO takes down one of the highest ranked Protosses in the world with some cheeky builds. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, hit that like button down below. If you want to see more, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get notified as soon as future videos go live. If you're a Zerg player out there, I hope that this series at the very least inspired you to some variety in your games against Protoss as well. Just a little tip, okay? Nidus Worms and Queen drops. It seems like a pretty good... Like, basically, any way to bring your queens across the map. It seems like a pretty good way to play StarCraft right now. For now, though, I want to thank you for watching. Have an awesome day. Don't forget to smile, and I'll see you once again in the next one.